This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your host, Ace Harris, introducing a couple people, my new amazing co-host. I ain't gonna say your name, you gotta say it for him, you know what I'm saying?
Oh man, it's Meah Evans right here, chilling as your new co-host, man. I'm so excited to be a part of the fam and to be able to be a part of, everything that this amazing show is bringing to the space. But listen, man, Ace, we got someone great on the show. Yeah. We got someone who is very special. She's gonna introduce herself, talk all about it. We got Amber Worthy on the show, on the 116 Live. How you feeling, Amber?
I feel great. This is gonna be fun.
Okay, so how's life, just in general? How's life been treating you?
Oh, that's a hard first question there.
Yeah, come on.
It's been a season of transition. Okay. I just moved from McDonough to Decatur, and I'm from Decatur, so it's home, but it's like this is my first apartment back in Atlanta. Okay, as an adult, Decatur, honestly, this is my first time having my own place in Atlanta because I moved after graduation and I never came back 8 years ago.
And you moved a lot.
But
we're gonna get into that. Okay, so let's talk about you. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about who you are, where you're from, how even you got into your faith walk. Just give us the whole nine, the whole thing, the whole Amber Worthy story.
Okay, so I was born and raised here on the east side of Atlanta. I went to high school at DeKalb Early College Academy, but I was zoned for Cedar Grove in Ellenwood. So
you Atlanta for real? Oh, you Atlanta for real? You said Cedar Grove.
This is home.
Hey.
So and it's so funny that Reach is home here. Like Reach is home.
Yeah.
So I got to see like a lot of early signs of Reach. But I went to church on Panthersville Road. New Life. People have probably seen it evolve because I drove past it the other day and it looks totally different.
As in
like just building. Like like it's crazy because we went from a church on Flat Shoals, I think. Okay. And I passed that often going to McDonald's. So it's just so funny that they moved from that church to the bigger building and it's just continuing to grow.
Isn't that the church where the Poets in Autumn tour or Joseph Solomon, maybe they were doing that? Okay.
They do a lot of things. Like they were heavy in the community. So that's where I found my faith. I was baptized there. And it's funny, when I was moving, I found my little Bible from baptism. And so I grew up there, found my faith there, and I gave my life to Christ at 8, but I don't really count that. I count when I was 16 because
why do you count 16?
Because I was able to make the decision for myself. You know, as a kid, I grew up.
Your friend go up there and get saved. It's like, I'll go up there with you. You know, I feel you. Okay,
I love Jesus, and I'm like, I want to be saved. You know, falling asleep on them red pews, and then, but when I was able to make my own decision, not sleep through church, but like listen to a full sermon and say, oh man, I want to do that. So that was 16, and ever since, I am 30 now.
Hey, okay, forever young. How was it like growing up in Atlanta? This is like, the hip hop capital. I mean, really the Bible Belt, Black church. Yeah. Tell me about how was that experience for you?
It was because my mom was diehard, eventually became a pastor. It was hard because I had the different pulls for the hip hop. I wanted to listen to what everybody else was listening to, but I literally lived at our church. Bible study, choir practice, 8 hours on Sunday. I was in church.
No, I was gonna say you basically lived. That's your second home for real. I say
we lived there, and that was when we went to church in Smyrna. But then even when we went to church in Decatur, it was the same way. We were there all the time. I was super active, and that's what helped, I guess, me draw that clear boundary. I'm a Christian. I know the world lives differently, but I was able to manage my own faith and kind of set boundaries.
That's super dope.
Except in 8th grade, I had to delete all the bad music because my mom found it.
It's still, let's just say once you mature in your faith, you can find a way to, what I'm saying? Listen to the new Music Friday.
Yes, and that is so true.
But I feel you. But for some people,
but in 8th grade, it was that's too much.
I don't want the comment section to be at our.
No.
But you said 8 hours in church on Sunday?
It felt like it.
Oh my goodness.
It was 3 sermons.
I didn't want to go to your church. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, we was there all day long. It felt like, that is an exaggeration, but at least 5.
I see y'all later.
Y'all
be easy. Kid. I love y'all.
I love God.
Y'all communion was probably your lunch at this point. Because I don't know how you would have made it through 8 hours.
No, we definitely
I know,
ate
they
after.
hungry. So
We
y'all
definitely ate after.
Y'all did? Oh, so y'all was one of them churches.
Yeah.
The brothers fed you.
Did y'all do like the church buffet? Y'all go to the buffet?
I think, well, no, there was a
Y'all
buffet.
was at Golden?
We had food under the church, like in the basement.
Yeah. With the repast?
Yeah, kind of,
You
essentially.
got the green beans, the little cornbread.
Yeah.
A little bit of mac and cheese.
And my grandmother cooks like she feeding the army
See?
too, so we ate.
That's amazing.
But I definitely fell asleep on them pews. I mean, it was a good time. I don't regret it.
Okay, so I want to ask you this really quick. So you said that from, correct me if I'm wrong, you said from when you were like 8 and then you feel like you really walked into your walk with God 16.
Yeah.
So why you feel like those changes were different from 8 to 16?
I feel like when you're a kid, like you get the child size sermons and the child size information. But then from 8 to 16, like I guess because I eventually got into my preteen years and I got to go to teen church and then I got to go on the retreats. And then I went to the Impact Conference because that was where I gave my life to Christ.
Oh, okay.
And I'm 90% certain like someone from Reach performed or something like that because that was where I learned about Christian hip hop. I was like, I can listen to rap.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is a great time. So it was like that evolution of like where I got my information. And I mean, hearing my mom preach all the time, like in every conversation, we were talking about how God was impacting our lives and how he was going to get us through. Like I just was in it. But I was able to figure it out myself, not just hearing it from my mom, hearing it at church. I figured it out and had my own come to Jesus moment.
Now, I love that only because, sometimes a lot of people who are PKs and preachers' kids, where they felt like they were like pushed into the faith.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So therefore, the fact that you were able to get that walk yourself.
Yes.
And even like realize, be like, okay, like I know I got saved when I was 8, but I feel like I could go deeper.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like that's really important. I want to say this about you because I don't know about, I remember the first time I met Amber and I don't know about you, Ace, but you probably have a similar situation. Just such a warm, inviting person. You know what I'm saying? So I want to ask, were you always like that?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a picture on the internet of a little kid with a very mean look. That is me. But like it wasn't always that way. Like I just was I had a lot of personality. And I think through journalism that kind of helped. Like bring out the real me, but I was a little sassy. I can't say I wasn't sassy.
I can so see you being a sassy
I can see it.
I was honest. My mom was like, she was like, you just were too honest. So like he would say things to people in like black and white. Like that's how I was like, why are you being like that? Like that's not nice.
I mean, yeah, and shout out you because I've always, for those who are kind of getting used to knowing more about Amber, I mean, she is such a fan and advocate. I be seeing you on everything, all the comments. Yeah. Reach Records, interviews, Twitch. You're just a real, and then I started to learn more about you, and I was like, oh, she's like a whole news anchor and all that.
Crazy.
So what did it look like? I don't know if you was gonna ask this, Meah, but what did it look like for you to like even get into the career path of like journalism? What did that look like? If I'm missing some steps, feel free to like walk us down slowly.
So I went to that early college in Decatur, and I went to college in the 11th grade, full time at a community college, and that was how I got into.
You went to college in 11th grade?
Yes, and I.
If you smart, just say.
Yeah, we'll see her later.
I guess. I mean, you want to see my grades in 11th grade, man?
Stop it. I was gifted at school.
Yeah.
But that's how I got into journalism. But like how it like intertwined with my faith is I just loved telling people stories and I liked to communicate. But I started off wanting to do it in computer science because I thought scientists can't communicate, maybe. Some of them. They struggle because this is technical. Maybe I can help them break it down. Got into one computer science class and realized this is not my space. Sure. Because the textbooks were expensive. I couldn't understand my instructor. And it was all men. So I changed it. I changed it to just communications. Thought I was going to be a sports broadcaster because I love sports. But they push women away from sports. And I was victim to that. Like I just let the the world's image of women in sports kind of shift where I wanted to focus. So I ended up in journalism.
Can you say more? What about that moment, stood out for you where you felt like, was it someone saying that, suggesting, or was it like an experience?
The interview process.
Like, tell us more about the
applying
interview.
for jobs. And I mean, I had people tell me I sound too Southern. And I was like,
the media industry is very picky on how you sound. And you won't realize you sound like something until they tell you, oh, you're too Southern, or you sound too, like, they will really try to, like, I see where you're coming from when you say that. Yeah.
And it was in Albany.
It don't get more country than that.
What do you mean?
Right.
The viewer will understand me. So I had to like hone my voice, and had I like honed my voice but like kept doing sports things on the side, I probably could have. Okay. But I fell in love with news. I like telling people stories. I like interviewing people.
Yeah.
So it's been good overall.
I have a question. Okay, so when it comes to knowing the personality that you have and things like that, how you just grew up, you were naturally like that, and then going into an industry where they really try to formulate you into the personality they want you to be. You know what I'm saying? How did you balance that, coming from like, being sure who you are, but then now going into somewhere where they're trying to tell you who you are, try to stay true to who you are, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying when I say that?
Yeah. There was some turbulence. It was good. I had mentors that kind of could talk me down when I'm like, they want me to do it this way, but I want to do it this way.
Yeah.
And you find that balance. But my mentor, I have two very strong women who were my mentors. Monica Pearson. I don't know if y'all grew up.
Yes.
I love Monica.
Shout out.
And Monica does what she wants, but with respect and poise, and she just knows how to say things and get her way. And it's normally the right one, and Romney Smith. She's in New York now, and they're very like, you do this, you go in there with confidence, and you say what you need. So they taught me that, but then also just through experience, like, I'm a very nice person. And I will just go in there, and I'm like, this is how I need to do it. Or I just do it. And, the whole ask for permission or ask for forgiveness type situation. Like, I just would tell the story how I wanted to tell it, and people eventually realized like how kind I was. I got the interviews I wanted,
right?
And I could convince almost anybody to do an interview because I'm kind. Yeah. And normally, like you said, I was working in the Bible Belt. If I brought up faith with the right person, we could talk faith. And I was able to do that in a lot of stories. And my bosses don't realize that was normally how I convince people. But I'm like, you want to tell your story. You want to leave your impact. And I'm a Christian too. But like, you're talking about your faith with me. Let's let that be the story. And that normally got people to be like, oh, I can talk about Jesus? Yes. Say Jesus. Yes. Say it as many times as you want, and I'm going to use it. So dope. It just, journalism ended up being that for me, getting to let people tell their story. And if faith was involved, I'm like, let's do it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think I definitely want to hear more about your journey in journalism, even more of your backstory. Just because you've got so much history in doing it. You've been doing it for a long time, and you are super. There's so much I have to unpack. I would love to get into in the next segment and just hear more about the Amber Worthy story. You know what I'm saying? It's the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm here with Amber Worthy.
Me? I'm Amber. You're next. You're the guest.
Sorry. Amber Worthy.
I can set you up.
It's me.
You up better.
We got Amber Worthy here. Y'all will be right back here on the 116 Life. We'll be right back.
Sure. Welcome back. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio. I'm your co-host Ace Harris here with, I'm going to go to the right first.
Amber Worthy.
And Meah Evans.
Hey, we got it, y'all.
We did it. Yes,
Didn't think we'd get there.
We here. We here now.
So we got Amber here on the show, and we're talking more. She has a very vast experience, history in journalism. Now, can I ask you how many outlets you've been with? Because I feel like you've been with a lot of people. I know, for real.
No, but my mom likes to say, you've worked for a Fox affiliate, an NBC affiliate, an ABC affiliate. I'm forgetting one, CBS affiliate. Yeah. And now I'm at a network. So I've done, and I like to tell people, I've done almost every job in the newsroom except like the directing part. like making sure that it gets on air. So yeah.
Did you always know that's what you wanted to do?
No. I think as a kid I wanted to be a psychologist, but I think that was just because I liked people and I was honestly very empathetic to different people's situations. My mom thought I would end up working with like kids with special needs because I was that kid that would always talk to the kid with special needs in my class, or I had friends who had disabilities, and she just thought that was going to be where I ended up. But I feel like as a journalist, I've been able to kind of still do that a little bit. So it's been good.
No, that's good. So you mentioned empathy, and I feel like empathy is really big for like storytellers to have. You know what I'm saying? And you define yourself as a empathetic storyteller. Right. So what does that mean? What does that mean?
What's crazy is it's big for journalists and I think storytellers, but it's not common. Like, I think we forget that there are people who are going to be impacted by our story, not just the person that we're interviewing, not just the story we're telling. So I just like to go into it realizing this is a human's life, and 9 times out of 10, I've come to them on their worst day. And I need to come in there with a very soft heart so that if I have to do some convincing, they don't see it like I'm pushing them in one direction or another. But there were so many times where I came to someone, and there's this one family in particular, I remember coming to their house and they're like, we don't want to do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't want to be here, but let's talk through this. You lost your son, but how can we tell his story in a way that will impact the people who also lost him? And you leave behind like a piece of his legacy on the internet forever. And I will see people liking that story still, or people going to it on the anniversary of his death and just watching it because I'm just talking about him and showing pictures of him and videos of him. And it just, they realized after the fact, they're like, that's why it was important. It was hard, but that's why we had to cry through it together and tell that story. So days like that were hard because I'm like, I really did talk them into it because I had a job to do, but I also walked away from there eternally grateful for them.
That's amazing. Just how you're kind of shining your light in those spaces, and obviously your faith informs it. Talk about why, like, what makes you so empathetic? Was there a moment in your life that, gave you that perspective to see others, and maybe there was a time in your life when maybe you didn't feel as seen? Like, what gives you that perspective, things that you have went through, or
so much,
like, or maybe things that you survived. Yeah,
so much.
Yeah. I think people.
But I think like what broke me down the most was I was assaulted in college, and that was probably when. Well, my mom will say it was when like I went from seeing the world as rainbows and butterflies to the world has an ugly side. And because I grew up in the church makes everything better. At the church, there's hope, there's joy, there's songs, like everything feels like it will work out.
You're right.
And that was the moment where I was like, it's not gonna work out, like that was what I realized, like, how am I gonna do this? And it was like little tragedies along the way too that like, my brother was robbed at gunpoint several times, it feels like, because he's in the shoe industry. So he resells. And I lost my aunt, like that was when I realized I needed to come home because I was not home. And I get the call on the way to work and she's in the hospital and they're like, you need to get here. And I'm like, how do I do this? I don't know how to take PTO. Like, what is this? Like, I just worked. But I told my boss, I was like, hey, I can't come today. And I whipped it around. And those moments in my life, I was like, I'm telling the story of people who have gone through things that I've gone through and also lost, like I've lost. Like that loss showed me the magnitude of, I can't imagine if somebody came to me that day and said, hey, will you tell your story? Like, and I'm like, so I was able to put myself in their shoes. Like, also, like, it was so crazy. My first market had a friend who was murdered. And I was like, she's on the news.
It was actually your friend. This
is not okay.
This is your actual friend.
Yeah, a friend here.
You had to report on that?
I didn't. Luckily, it was like, she was Miami, but the detective called me because she had just called me.
Ooh.
And like I'm in the edit bay breaking down, and then ironically the next day I had to cover a drowning because she drowned, and it was a murder case, and I had to go cover a drowning, and I'm literally holding this teen in my arms, crying. He's crying, I'm crying. We're just crying together.
Yeah.
But that day I was like, I know exactly what he feels. I know, like, so I go into it like I know what this pain, this grief, this loss, feeling violated. Like I know what all these feelings feel like. So I'm going to go into every interview trying to understand what they're feeling. And granted, I will say I learned that's not always the best because if I'm taking on their grief and their emotions, it's heavy. So I got burnt out. Like I got to the point where I was like, I can't cry with another family. I can't go to another crime scene. And I hit that point last year. And that's when I got off air. Because I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Because you said something that I want to call out. You said you had seen the other side of the world. Yeah. I mean, obviously church is a safe haven, a beacon, a place for restoration, hope, joy. Do you feel like, did you feel like you had the tools? Did the church give you the tools to be able to process the other part of life? And what did you learn from that moment to like apply it to your walk and even in your journalism career? Like seeing like, oh, the world was, it's really twofold. It's a beautiful
really
world, but it's also a dark world out here. You feel me?
Sure.
Like I don't know that they talk about trauma as much as they could.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen now people try to trauma-inform pastors so that they know, like, the world is ugly. And how my church handled my assault was great.
Okay.
Like, I mean, because that is a whole other story how I told my mom, but I told her as she walked into Bible study, because I thought, church is a safe place. That's where she should process this.
Oh, God.
My mother,
Mama was
she wanted to kill me probably.
And
really, she wanted to hold me, but I wasn't with her because I just sent it to her as I knew she was walking into Bible study.
Yo, Amber,
Wild.
you are...
We laugh about it now because she's like, Amber, what were you thinking? And I was like, I thought the church, like you were at church.
I guess technically, yeah. But
you should like lay out at the altar and like process these things because...
as a parent,
it had been months for me. I had waited months to tell her. And then I was like, okay, I'm home for the summer. I took my brother out to lunch and then I told my mom. But like, that probably was the best because the church, while the church is great, therapy is necessary. And you gotta, like there were times where I was mad at God. Like, and I couldn't necessarily, and that was how I knew that something was wrong, was I couldn't worship. And I was like, this is not, I normally can get into God's presence really quickly. like where is he? It felt like there was some distance, and it was because my pain was just pushing me away, I guess.
Your pain was pushing you away. That's go ahead. Yeah.
I gotta ask you about that because I just want to be real because you went through something that was traumatic. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And people think that with us being believers, we can just walk right in church and things are okay. You know what I'm saying? And those things impact our lives. And I really appreciate you being honest, to being saying, I was mad at God. You know what I'm saying? But then here you are today, a survivor, open to talk about it, open to talk about your growth. So I got to ask you just because I can't imagine anyone else who could be walking through that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just traumatic things in general. You know what I'm saying? And then who are mad at God. How did you get through that? How did you really walk through the point of, oh, I'm mad at God, then being here as a survivor, healed in a sense? Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Like, I like to, this analogy is how I've given it to other people who are hurting. Because it helped me, because I felt like I was like, God's hands, I'm in them, just throwing the biggest fit for several years. Like, but he was just holding me, watching me roll around, crying. Like, but he was holding me. He was there, and I felt like, I'm mad. I don't understand. Why did this have to happen? Like, and I stopped asking why because there is really no good answer. But like, you allowed it, or you were there. Like, you were there holding me and protecting me. And then eventually I'm like, okay, you helped me get through it. Like, I survived it. He didn't kill me. Like, I could not be here to tell the story. But honestly, that was probably, because that was 2013. That was 5 years after I discovered Christian hip hop. And we made this, my mom realized it last year when I was going through it. And I was singing Sweet Victory.
Wow.
And
man, you said the right song.
What I tell you.
Any song gonna bring you to
What I tell you.
I got goosebumps.
It's so funny because my ex told my mom that, what did he say? He said he said, I think he just called it her war cry, but he said it's not this. Like, oh, it's not a fun song. That is her battle song or something like that. And I'm like, that's true. Because I remember being in my college, like having the worst time, but playing Sweet Victory over and over and over until I truly believed that I could have victory over what I was battling. And that was when I clung to music so hard. But it was Sweet Victory, but then, I don't know, people don't really give this song the credit it deserves. But Round of Applause, like that was my song. It came out, I think the month I graduated, or somewhere around like me graduating. And I felt me graduating because the person who assaulted me went to my college. I felt like me graduating was like, I have succeeded. He did not keep me from graduating. It did not stop me from continuing on. Granted, I probably should have taken a semester off. If a therapist is listening, I know, but I didn't. I powered through, like trying to just find that victory.
That's so.
But Sweet Victory, I am at least 3 million of the streams.
I believe you.
90% sure.
You 3, I'm at least 1. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
It's such like a countercultural concept that someone who's going through traumatic experiences can sing about victory.
Because he wasn't just singing about victory, you know? When you break down the word, that's all. Like he's talking about his illness and people seeing him and thinking everything's fine. And that was me. Like I was student government vice president at the time. Like people thought everything was fine. No.
You was the prototype of like star student.
Yeah, just doing the things.
Meanwhile, you was going through
going through it. I was at our little chapel for exchange ministries at school, just going through it. And that's how they knew. Like they're like, she is laid out every time. Something is clearly not okay.
Something one of my former pastor friends, John O, used to say, the God, and some people don't love this statement, but it's, because you said I didn't ask why, because there wasn't a good answer why. I think that's a sign of healthy, mature Christian. Yeah. But he was like, God is not an author of pain, but he is an authorizer of it. And it's like,
we need pain.
And so he, in his sovereign, infinite wisdom that's beyond our human intellect, he allows certain traumas to happen, which don't seem like it doesn't seem fair.
I can't say.
It don't seem right.
I can't say that's fair.
For whatever reason, he allows it for the goodness of our development, our growth. And I think he can always be like, look at my son, and be like, look at the trauma that was inflicted on him as a representative of this pain to be a stand. And so God is not like a got you. He's always like, got you. Hey, but look,
right?
Yeah, we've been through it too.
Come on,
and we did. So can you? So I think as we wrap this up, I would love to hear more about how. You talked about music.
We can get into a lot of things we gotta touch on.
We
gotta
talk about, because you were a Christian hip hop
15 years
aficionado.
I just did the math.
You didn't say Kirk, or you said no. I was on Christian. I was on Trip Lee.
No,
and I think that's a good segue into how we can hear about your intersection with Christian hip hop. This is the 116 Life. Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your co-host Ace Harris, here with
Amber Worthy
and Meah Evans. Will be right back here. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm here with Amber and Meah. We're laughing, but also kind of like holding back tears of triumph.
Yeah.
I mean, hearing you were saying how like that song Sweet Victory, how you sung it differently when you first saw him perform it. Talk about a little bit about that.
Because I've sung that song so many times and just in so many places in my life. But the last time I saw him perform it didn't, like the first time it didn't make me cry. I was like, healed. Like, what is happening? But then when I saw him perform it, I'm like, this is this song is so impactful. And then when I hear other people say it impacted them, it reminds me like, oh yeah, it was it was perfect. It's probably, I don't want to say that, but it might be one of Reach's best songs.
Listen,
like
man.
top
On probably one of the best.
Gotta be top five.
Listen, man,
Okay.
I will say this
Top five.
confidently. Rise is one of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
most classic projects to
Yeah.
come out of Reach.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You like sonically anything. Like that
Yeah.
that was an amazing project. And Sweet Victory is a phenomenal
It's amazing
song.
Yeah.
So now I want to
I
kind of
needed to be on the radio like now.
So now I want to know, because you said 15 years you've been tapped into CHH. So what was your introduction? Because you said a conference or something like that,
Okay,
right?
so I feel like Impact had to be like, but I don't have very many vivid memories of Impact, but I know that was where I gave my life to Christ, and I know I had on like a Jesus Freak shirt, and like I have little bits and pieces. But I saw Lecrae going and knocking on doors, and it was like this little hood neighborhood in Atlanta that I didn't live in the neighborhood. But my mentor at the time brought me and another kid because we had heard about it, and then it was Lecrae and Sho Baraka performing, and I mean, when you look at the picture, it's crazy because he's so young. But that was like my first memory of like going to see a show. And of course it was free because it was in the middle of the day. It was just people literally outside their homes listening to CHH.
Yeah.
And that's why I love him so much, because in one of his songs, he's like, I was knocking on doors, telling people to come outside. And I'm like, yes, I was there.
You were there.
You know, like, he's not lying, because like people will say like rappers' lyrics aren't true. But that one, I'm like, I was there. That's cool.
crazy.
It's crazy.
So I want to ask you this. So now, since you've been the beginning, Cray knocking on doors,
Yeah.
and then now you've honestly can really say she's seen like the evolution of what Reach has gone through, adding artists and like from like when Cray first started to now Trip, even then and now.
Yeah.
How has it been seeing from a fan standpoint, seeing the evolution of the music of what Reach has been through, and like how they are what they are today, the music and everything?
It's exciting, like to see them grow, and then of course I've grown into an adult, and they talk about some of the same problems I've experienced. Like it's exciting because I know what it's doing for the kids who are younger than me, and I know what place it'll have in young Christians' lives when they don't want to listen to secular music, or when they need an outlet like Sweet Victory, when they need something to speak over their lives that they can say to themselves to get them through. Like I don't know, it's amazing. Like, and then they've added a female artist. Like, and I was a kid, you know?
Yeah.
I was a kid, not really necessarily needing it. Like, I didn't say, oh, I need them to get a female artist. But when they did, I was like, this is amazing. You know, like, and she's young and she's excited about like truly impacting lives. Like her album, Exit. Amazing.
Exit album, hard.
Amazing.
Hard.
And it was so funny. The first time I actually spoke to her, I told her that I played that album and it was the only thing that could get me out of this panic attack I was having. And I just like, and it's so funny because I tried Lecrae, didn't work. Tried Triple E, didn't work. But then when I put on Exit, like it just, I don't know. It just was great.
What do you think was in? I mean, if you can pinpoint what was in that music or Sonic or whatever about Wanda's music that gave you that peace that you couldn't find in other places.
Like it probably was part melody, but also a female voice. Just hearing a female talk about her stuff, like, and it just was soothing. Like I don't know what it was that day.
And why is that? Why do you feel like that's important? In Christian culture, Christian hip hop culture, even in just
culture period.
Culture period.
Because they push women out of the church. And I think it was the fact that I grew up with a mom who was a pastor, and I knew that there were times when people didn't want to hear her voice because she was female. Just because she was a female. But knowing like a female's voice just is necessary in all spaces. And it's just something about us. Like that like no fault to men, but like it's just something about us speaking to us. Like you need strong women in your life, and hearing her just on the different melodies, on the different tracks, it was necessary.
That's super dope. That's super dope. What I mean, obviously I be seeing you like You don't
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Say it.
But when I
Everywhere.
moved back here, I was like, I could go all the time.
Yes.
And it's so funny because that's one of the only places I go. Like, I don't really go out. And it's because I work a lot. Like, I work and I don't want to leave the comfort of my home. But if Regis having an event, I'm going. I'm going.
But you're really plugged into.
But I wasn't even living here for 8 years,
you
though.
show mad support for like all CHH
Yeah.
genres. Like,
I will say I
besides
was
Reach
in a
too.
bubble. I was in a Reach bubble for a long time. But then when they started like featuring different people and social media started to like, when other artists started using social media and I started discovering them, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
You know, like this is really
There's
cool.
so many of them. They're everywhere. Yeah, facts.
And then they were all receptive of like all their fans. Like, I don't know, outside of CHH, I don't know artists that really like welcome their fans in to be, I don't know, just a part of their community. Like they're truly building not just an online digital community that they can monetize, like they really care about us. And I love
refreshing.
it.
That's refreshing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
For me, like even as we're, creating music and obviously commercially, exploiting it.
Yeah.
But with all those numbers and streams, I have to stop myself and remind myself that it's not just a stream.
Yeah.
That's like someone's like,
Yeah.
that's an actual person there.
That's a person.
That's like tapping in and connecting and sharing. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and it's like,
And you could be saving a life too. Like,
yeah.
And like
Yeah.
every time
Yeah,
y'all
yeah.
release something where they're actually raw in their emotions and their feelings. Like I was just listening to Tedashi's album and I'm just like, this is great. Cause
Yeah.
he's not holding back in his struggles and in his flaws and in like just where he is in life. And I think for fans like me, I want to know where they're feeling, where they are in life, like how they're feeling, what they're going through.
So we've heard the good, the celebration, but as someone who's been in around the space for
Yeah.
a while, your history as a journalist, a survivor, just a leader, what are some things that you feel like Christian hip hop? I know that we've had this conversation will never like die out. It's always gonna be a different perspective. What are some things that you feel like the space could grow in to help keep this legacy going forward? You know what I'm saying? And it's good to ask someone like you who's not a musician.
Yeah,
and
yes,
coming
because
from
I'm not musically inclined at all.
You did say you were singing in the choir though, so I gotta,
yeah, but that was
yeah.
short-lived.
Yeah, but I think it's good. I just want to hear. Like, I'm
Yeah.
curious. Like, what do you see? It's like, y'all can probably, as a whole, we could grow in these few things.
To not let the things that happen in life stop y'all from doing. Because I will say, like, I don't know if it's like I just wasn't fully tapped in, but there were times or periods where no one was releasing anything or no one was posting on social media.
Oh.
Like, who? I don't know.
Well, there is like a little there was a Reach era right before I started that internally we have a name for it, and I'm not gonna.
Okay, you don't have to put them out like that.
But there was an era of like just. It was like a dark moment. And it was,
Reach specifically.
Yeah,
Got you.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
Reach
Yeah, I'm just
specifically.
got you. Okay,
there was a
okay.
moment, 2016. We talked about this.
Yeah, just don't stop.
There was a moment of like it was a weird time in culture, elections, politics.
Got you.
Race,
And I get that.
a lot of
I feel
mental health. There was a lot of stuff
Because
happening.
in journalism, we felt it too.
Everybody just kind of like it was a weird.
We don't know what to say.
We don't know what to say. We don't know. We don't know people. We don't know what to create.
Because elections do determine a lot of things, and they do have an impact. But like, don't let it stop you.
I think that's good. I think that's a good reminder. It's like
Yeah.
because me and RG have talked about this with Michael before. It's a healthy balance of artists need to be present on social media. I'm always advocating we need to disrupt the scroll. The social media platform it's a battlefield. It's a mission field.
that.
And then on the other side of it, I hear What Up RG like, yo man, what about mental health for the artists? Artists care. I'm like,
that's
that's true
important.
too.
And I
so
love
it's
RG
like-
too because he did push through something really hard.
Yeah.
But we want to hear from you even when you're struggling, even if it's 15 seconds, 7 seconds.
Jeez.
5 seconds.
a
picture. A coffee cup, a something, so that we know you're okay.
Said a coffee cup.
Because honestly, there was also
a 116 bracelet. No.
Yeah.
Shout out,
just so
Shannon.
we know you're okay.
Shout out, Shannon. That was for you, Shannon.
Even if you just say, "Hey, I'm not okay, but I'm leaning on my team," like something to let us know.
Basically, what you're saying
Just
is
don't
don't
disappear.
stop. Don't
Yeah.
keep going. because
going.
because it's life.
Because we need that mental health aspect. We need to know you're struggling because we be struggling. Like, and it makes us feel like, okay, it helps us lean into your music a little bit. I think
That's good. That's super good.
But yeah, keep doing events too. I know they're not cheap, so charge us maybe, but like,
She said maybe.
keep doing stuff.
Amber's like, let me get the VIP. Let me get that.
The VIP.
Charge us, baby. But like, I love
That's
seeing
good.
them out.
Thank you for that. I was just curious, and it's good to hear you.
And I'll think of some more.
No, we could always offline on that. Yeah.
How has it been? Because going to like events and things like that, concerts. Like we went, like when I saw you at Smoke Fest, and
that was great.
like Few Day Bash and things like that. Connecting with other people who are in the space and things like that. How has it been building friendships and relationships?
It's cool because that's how I met you. You know, and that's how I meet some of the artists too. And I've met people in Texas because I actually flew to San Antonio for Unashamed tour because it was on my birthday, and I felt like I should be there on my birthday. And I met people in Texas, and it's just so cool because now I have friends who understand why I love this music so much. Like, there were only a few people in my life who I could tell about this that understood the magnitude and the fact that I was like, I'm not crying. We're not crying. We're not crying. We're excited. We're excited to talk to Meah about 116 Live. And we're not gonna be emotional because it's been a long time coming. Like,
sure.
I've been a fan for a very long time.
Yeah. So, obviously, you've done so much. You're an advocate for this genre.
Yeah.
Your testimony is amazing. What, where are you now? What's next for you? Like, what are you putting your hands and heart to? What can people expect from you? I mean, are you double downing on? Are you taking a break? I know from journalism. I know you mentioned that earlier.
Like, I have a behind the scenes job that pays the bills, but I would love, like in journalism, but I would love to like create content for people in this space, just because it's so necessary. Like, when I saw y'all's content, but then also Child Like Cece is just pushing it out, like. And flooding, and Caleb Gordon, like the fact that they are just doing it over and over and over, like we need more people to do that, like flood the stream. I would love to be a part of like just shooting that content or just encouraging them to do it. Even if I had like a cameraman that was a little bit better than me, I shoot, but there are people who are better than me. But like to in some way encourage that.
That's awesome. So obviously, it's the 116 Live music, faith, culture. What is something that you want to leave the people with, encourage them, something that's on your heart? Even it can probably bless me and Meah as well. Something that you want to, just say to this culture and speak life into us and to everybody tuning in.
That message.
This is not a force,
but I will say that message to keep going, like is me. Like I have been hiding, and I even saw this on social media. There was a pastor, I think, that spoke at World Changers. It was a female. She was like, "You're hiding, but stop hiding." Like, because honestly, it's really hard to hide if you have a light, and a lot of us have a light, and it'll just be shining in weird places. Like you'll just be. Like, I will shine in a newsroom, but like, is that really where my light's meant to shine the most? Is that really where God wants my light? So stop hiding. Shine where you feel the most comfortable and in the places that need you.
That's amazing. Well,
we can end right there.
It can end right there. I feel that's it.
That's it, man.
Appreciate you, Amber.
Yeah,
no,
for sure.
Thank you all. I appreciate y'all. This has been great.
For sure.
This is like.
This is the 116 Life Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your co-host, Ace Harris, signing off with
Amber Worthy
and Meah Evans. We'll catch you guys next time right here on the 116 Life.